Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of the Get Geek podcast. How's everyone doing today? I hope everyone is having a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, a wonderful whatever and wherever you're doing right now. Let's do introductions real quick. Y'all know me. I'm Jose.
This is Walt.
This is a Eli who has a cold. Yeah.
Okay, just putting that out there, right?
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
He'll sound a little
We're missing
sniffly today, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, we're missing two of our hosts because they are out of country, right?
Yeah, well, AJ is off visiting someone. He's out of he's not out of the country, but he's out of the continental United States. And where's Wolfie? Actually, I didn't know he was out of the country right now. I know he's been traveling.
Yeah, he's coaching Amanda Serrano, who for boxing fans out there.
Dope.
She is one of the best female boxers in history who's transitioning into a MMA career. She's doing jiu-jitsu, she's doing kickboxing, and so he was cornering her for an MMA fight, which she won in spectacular fashion. A standing guillotine within seconds of the start of the fight. So
I didn't know that.
She is 2-0-1 in her MMA career. So
Wolfie, man, you gotta tell me this stuff, bro. That's amazing.
And listen, Wolfie was hanging with Roy. Yeah, he was hanging with Roy Jones Jr. So the man is having fun.
Yeah, I mean, quick plug for Wolfie. Gotta do it. The Dojo NYC. Y'all gotta check it out. He's one of our sponsors being on the podcast. It's a great small business. It's a great little school. Not a little school, but it's a great school for jiu-jitsu and other persuasions. Y'all should check it out. TheDojoNYC.com. And he's a great guy and a great trainer. And man, that's amazing. He's training Amanda Serrano. She's probably going to do really, really well because his ground game is sick. He teaches a great ground game.
Yep.
So
he's also teaching her kickboxing, so she's getting the full workaround here.
Yo, well, Wolfie shouted us out on some great success a couple of weeks ago, so I got to shout him out on that, man. I know the dojo's doing really well, which I'm very, very happy about. And the fact that he's training such world-class athletes that's only a good thing. That's amazing. So, Wolfie, you're awesome. We love you, bro. Thanks for giving us congratulations a couple of weeks ago on all the things we've been accomplishing lately. You're amazing. Congratulations on all your accomplishments as well. We miss you this week. And AJ, we freaking miss you too. We miss both of you. We hope you guys are having a great time off jet setting around the world. But let's jump into our little quick introductions and disclaimers. First of all, as y'all know, we've been recording remotely for some time. So if there are any sound issues or artifacts with the podcast, you can let us know. You can reach out to us at Get Geek Podcast on Instagram and on Twitter. You can definitely DM us, slide into the DMs, let us know if there's any issues, not just related to sound, but anything, any feedback that y'all want to give us. That's absolutely the best thing you can do. And as a reminder, the best thing you can do for your favorite podcast is to like, rate, share, and subscribe. And I'm going to add comment on your favorite podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Get Geek Podcast. Follow us on Twitter in the same way. On Instagram, the best thing to do is to comment at least 4 words on our posts. And if y'all have a podcast of your own, if y'all make music, if y'all have a small business, we're committing ourselves now to trying to build a community and raise all boats, make sure that everybody wins. So we'll comment on your posts as well. We'll comment on your Instagram, your whatever, at least 4 words. We're going to try and game this system of engagement in Instagram and just create a community of successful people, successful podcasts, successful artists. We want to raise all boats, like I said. So please, y'all, that's the best way to support your favorite podcast is to comment on our social media posts. And of course, like, rate, share, and subscribe where all of your favorite podcasts are sold. All right. So I got into that for a little bit. I definitely want to thank all of our fans so far for everything that you've done, and onward and upward for everybody. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. So let's jump into it, guys. Let's talk about the big news of the week thus far. The still ongoing E3
Yes.
2021. E3's return this year after a hiatus last year for the pandemic. They took the year off. A lot of other companies like Sony decided to do online or remote, I guess you could say virtual shows.
Yep.
The Electronic Entertainment Expo decided to do the opposite. They didn't do anything this last year. And so this year they've returned with a vengeance. And this year they've returned with content and games for the new consoles. And I have the Xbox Series X. So I am excited to take a good look at this stuff. Let's get into it. Let's get right into what we know so far, because there's still a lot to come. First of all,
yes.
We are going to reference IGN very quickly on some games. This is so far for E3 2021. Every confirmed game for pre-order on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Okay, this article is from June 12th, June 12th, and it was most recently updated at June 12th at 8:13 p.m. So that tells you how current this is. First off, I'm going to take the lead on this one. I'm going to rant about this one.
Your favorite.
One of my
Your
favorites.
favorite.
Yes.
Yep.
I think they have another reveal trailer coming out in just a couple of days, actually, but we're talking about Battlefield 2042. And I got to say, I've said this every year. Not every year. I've said this with almost every release except Battlefield 5, because everybody hated that game. This one might be the COD killer. And I'm not going to say it's gonna sink COD entirely, but I think market share
that's tough.
might start to switch here. Well, I'll give you a couple of reasons why. All right, I'll give you a couple of reasons why. And Eli, it looks like I want to hear your pushback on this one, because I feel like you're going to push back on this one hard. But I'm going to tell you why Battlefield 2042 is going to take a little bit of that COD market share. First of all, they hired somebody.
He's already
from Call of Duty.
He's already shaking.
Oh
his
yeah,
head,
no, I know. They hired somebody from Call of Duty who's been working for that company for like the last half decade and helped turn Call of Duty into the franchise that it is. So when you have good leadership that's basically just there to lead this franchise into the future, something Battlefield has never had before. It's always been DICE and EA working on it. No independent leadership or guidance like Call of Duty had for many years. That's one. That's one reason why I think things are going to change a little bit. Number two, so they're doing something really interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this. There's no single player campaign in Battlefield 2042. Really? There is no single player campaign.
That's kind of a no for me.
That's kind of a no for you. I get it. But what do most people do when they buy Call of Duty? They don't care really much about the single player campaign. It's training for the real Battlefield.
No, I kind of agree with that, but I don't know if you've been looking at the internet lately. There's been a lot of pushback because people are complaining of the lack of single player games.
Yeah.
And so, taking this out kind of feels tone deaf in terms of what people are asking for. I've always enjoyed Battlefield the single player because me, I'm not great on the online component.
Call of Duty.
That's
Duty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Call of Duty has an awesome single player, but
no, it's true. I'm one of those people that if you don't have a single player, maybe that's not something that I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, I get it. But these games are all about online these days. We're actually the outliers.
Yeah, I get that also. Yeah.
I think that the focus on multiplayer is going to be a big thing because they're trying to do something narrative through the multiplayer that'll be like a bit of a single player component. But I think that that's going to be a big thing. The other thing that I think is huge is that people have been wanting Battlefield to return to the quote unquote modern era for a while now, because Battlefield 4 was the last one we saw with modern weapons, modern things like that. Right. Battlefield 1 being in World War 1, Battlefield 5, the less said about it, the better, being in World War 2. So they're returning finally to the, again, quote unquote, modern era 2042, which is kind of, I guess, a callback to the original Battlefield 1942. But what we know so far is, they're really sticking to the gameplay of Battlefield 4, which is considered one of the most popular games. they're returning to the full destruction of every level. You can destroy everything, which has been absent from the series since Battlefield
That's
Bad
awesome.
Company 2.
That's awesome.
That's going to be amazing.
Nice.
Another thing that I think is going to be huge about this one that I totally predicted, although I predicted it might be a little bit more than this, but it's going to be on PC, Xbox Series X, and PS5. It's going to be 128 players in each game, as opposed to every other game, which is only 64. So if you want a real big Battlefield, this is the game for you. Obviously, the name makes that pretty clear. And they're making some changes to the multiplayer that sound really solid. So one of the things that I noted is that for the big capture the flag maps, what they normally do is they have like 5 flags or 5 choke points where all of the combat takes place. What they're doing is that something new is that they're actually having each capture point be like a larger area and have multiple smaller capture points within that capture point. So that way it's going to open up these maps more and make it really like there's more areas where the combat takes place. Because that's the thing that's always been about these games. The combat kind of goes back to the same areas because people just keep going back to the same choke points or the same map points or whatever it is. So for me, I'm really excited on some of the little gameplay changes that they seem to be looking at for Battlefield 2042 so far. And the graphics look pretty good so far, although that's not a completed version of the game by any stretch of the imagination. So
right, it'll always look beautiful.
And the last thing I'll say, I'll comment on, and then I'll let Eli kind of tell me why Call of Duty is going to kick Battlefield's butt again, even though we haven't seen anything from this year's Call of Duty, and they might not even release one this year, I heard. Is the other thing that I would say that's really good about Battlefield 2042 so far is that they're listening to a lot of things that fans like, and it's evidenced in the trailer by, I can't remember the name of it. There's this trick that you can do where basically in Battlefield you get in a jet, and this was in Battlefield 3, I think it was the first time they did it. Yeah. You get in a jet, you fly up.
Saw that.
Yeah, you saw that in the trailer. You fly up, you jump out of your jet in midair with a rocket launcher, shoot a jet that's pursuing you, and then you can land back in your jet, or if you find another jet, you can land back in that jet. This is like a trick that people have done. I'm actually surprised that AJ hasn't discovered this game, because this game is the ultimate military shooter sandbox. I'm talking, you put people in this game, they put C4 under a Jeep and then launch it like a mile across the map just to see it happen. So we'll see how this turns out. Eli, I want to hear why you think Battlefield 2042 sucks and why Call of Duty is still going to be the king. Let me know.
No, I didn't say it sucks.
Okay.
But like,
go ahead. Tell me your opinion about what you think about it so far. I mean, were you just watching the trailer at the moment?
He's watching it now.
Yeah.
It's a long trailer.
It is a long trailer.
Yeah,
it's not all gameplay
5
either.
minutes. Yeah. But bro, Battlefield is mainly known for its like single player campaign, and I know you guys were talking about that earlier, but like when I go to Battlefield, the first thing I want to do is single player.
I wouldn't say that Battlefield is known for it, but I get what you're saying. It's something that you enjoy. It's something that I enjoy too. Battlefield is known for very different things. It's known for
it's campaign, right?
It's large scale maps. Well, it's known for its large scale maps, its vehicle combat. That's something that Call of Duty hasn't had until recently. You know, there were no jets, there were no tanks, there were no Jeeps. I mean, there were some of those things in Call of Duty, but they just brought that. Like Battlefield has had that for since Battlefield 1. So Battlefield has known for the single player to a certain extent, for interesting single player campaigns, although the last couple of games, the campaigns have not been super well received. Battlefield 4 was the last one that people really loved. So yeah, it's more known for those large scale maps and those large scale battles, which is why I'm looking forward to the 128 player maps. But I get it. I get what your point is. I mean, Call of Duty usually has a pretty fun campaign too, with some great set pieces.
Yeah, but like Call of Duty is like known for its multiplayer, so like, you know, it wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think it's just like.
Then what?
I'm kind of on the edge about this because now that I saw like some of the trailer, I mean, and like the gameplay and stuff. I mean, I guess maybe it could like stop Call of Duty's reign, but like, I don't
I
know.
think
It's
it's
like,
at least gonna sell more than it usually does and cut into some of Call of
yeah,
Duty's business. I don't know if it's gonna take over, but I think that a lot of the
but
cool changes they made it might cut into it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know.
And I feel like some friends of mine are disillusioned with Call of Duty these days. I think it's because of the download sizes. It's the only reason. It's because like
Yeah,
it's
that
150
Yeah.
gigs to download the dang game.
it's kind of frustrating when you have a feel to play Call of Duty and then realize there's an update that's going to take almost a day.
Wolfie has mentioned this
So
before, man. He just wanted to play some
yeah,
Black Ops.
and it's really really frustrating. So you know, I can see where the hate for Call of Duty can come from, even though it's not gameplay related. But um, if you can't play the game, then seriously,
Yeah,
you know.
Okay.
it seems like it wouldn't be worth it, but we got a lot of other stuff to cover. So Call of Duty versus Battlefield is going to be the smallest thing to kind of speak of. Walt, what's up, man? You have something you want to say real quick?
Yeah,
What's up?
I want to actually transition to the next
You go
game
ahead.
because I think it's a perfect counterpoint to Battlefield 2042.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rainbow Six Extraction.
Yeah, talk about
You
it.
know, that's my
I know you
game.
love Rainbow
You know
Six
what I'm saying?
Extraction a lot, and Siege and all of those games. So tell us a little bit about what you
Yes.
know so far, Sarah, and what you're excited about.
So Rainbow Six as a franchise, one of the reasons I like it is because it's more it seems a little bit more grounded than the Battlefield and the Call of Duty games. Those games are more kind of run and gun, where Rainbow Six really embraces the tactical aspect and the teamwork aspect of these type of military sims and whatnot, and that's something that I really appreciate because it goes away from the Twitch mentality of Call of Duty and Battlefield, where it gets more into the mental aspect of how to approach a room, what's the best way to breach, how are you getting your teammates involved to get the best possible outcome and stuff. So for that reason, I've always been a big fan of the Rainbow Six franchise as a whole. Rainbow Six has kind of got, and they've also always had a really good first player experience, single player experience, which you can add in with everybody, and your teammates, which are AI, actually work as teammates. It's not one of these games where it's like, okay, these AIs are going to sit looking at a wall shooting at guys that are on the other side. They
Yeah.
actually worked well, right?
They work better if you give them orders, but yeah, they definitely do work really, really
yes,
well.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the game.
they
the
know
game
how to
aspect
work
of it for
by
sure.
themselves.
They're
Right,
not useless
exactly.
like guys in Battlefield and
No.
Call of Duty tend to be most of the time. They're just shooting at air. That's generally what it is. I feel you on that one. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, Rainbow Six, I just recall it was one of the first games that you had to like really be careful because one bullet could take you out. Like when we used to play it on
Exactly.
PC, I think like a little bit back in the days.
Yep.
That's what I remember a lot in those missions.
And again, that leans into the whole realism aspect of this military sim, right? It's truly a military sim. It's not an arcade type of game.
Oh, and the other thing that was always cool, if you remember, with Rainbow Six is your operators are like mortal. So if they die, you lose a perfectly good operator who's good at breaching or good at with shotguns or good with something else. So that was always something. Like I remember, like a lot of times in the old Rainbow Six games, I used to be like, "Well, I lost my favorite operator. I'm done. I'm starting over again." So it does have that really, really interesting aspect of like I guess the problems that can occur if you lose or something like that, or the risk reward.
You can't just run into a room.
Yeah.
You really have to calculate and think it out. And again, that's the mental side of the game that I really appreciate. Rainbow Six Extraction to me is very, very interesting because I don't know how to say it, but it's leaning into the sci-fi realm now.
Yeah, very much so. What a different game.
Because yeah, I know, and I don't know what to think about it. I just saw the trailer, and that's kind of why I wanted to jump in, because I think it was a perfect, thing against Battlefield 2042.
A good
because
contrast,
2042,
I guess,
right? Because 2042 seems like it's going back to modern warfare and things of that nature, and getting into that aspect. whereas Rainbow Six is kind of looking like it's changing away from that. And so in this one, you're not fighting terrorists, which is usually the whole Rainbow Six, that's your antagonist, right? In this one, you're fighting space aliens,
Yeah.
which I find to be very, very interesting. It's set in the Rainbow Six universe, so they're not going away from that. But
what about that
it's
name change? Wasn't that that's kind of an interesting thing? Did you see that little bit of information?
it's called React, the team. Is that what you're talking
No, the
about?
game itself, the name of the game itself, if you look at it, apparently it was originally slated to be called Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Quarantine, yes. I
Did I
do
mention
see
that
that.
before? I don't know if I mentioned that, but like obviously for very, very good reasons, they changed the name to Rainbow Six Extraction, which is apparently the name of it
Yep.
so far. My comments on it,
And
the graphics look really good.
It's weird.
That's one thing that's
Oh
interesting.
yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty game. It's gonna open up some interesting gameplay that was never there before.
You know what I like about the idea? I'll tell you what I like about the idea. Actually, I didn't realize until we started talking about it now that they had made this kind of a change to it. But there's a game that I've been wanting to play. I'm pretty sure you guys have played it. But this is gonna have, I think, a similar feel, but also like maybe let me just go out and say it. This is kind of like an Alien Isolation kind of thing, but with guns. Because Alien Isolation, you can't really defend yourself, right? Like Alien Isolation, you have a few ways of defending yourself. Mostly you run or you die, right? From what I understand,
right. It's more of it that leans more of like a oh god, what was that old game where it was all about stealth?
Chronicles of
It was
Riddick.
still a Tom Clancy game.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, it has actually, that's a really good comparison.
Yeah.
But the one with Sam Fisher, what the heck is the name of that game?
Splinter Cell. Yeah.
It's Splinter Cell with no guns.
Yeah.
So basically, you're and rightfully so, you have no defense against the xenomorph. So you're kind of like sneaking around. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. This gives you a little bit more to defend yourself, which I think is a fun aspect of it. Because I'm assuming it gets to a point like this is like a few games put in one. It's almost like Left 4 Dead also, or Dying Light.
This is like,
which we're going to talk about also.
This is like the video game equivalent of Aliens, the second movie in the franchise.
Yeah, exactly. Where it was less of a horror movie, it was more of an action leaning movie.
Exactly. Yep.
Which to me makes it interesting. That's why I'm like, I know that this is not your standard Rainbow Six game, and I really want to play Siege, which I haven't played yet. We got to get on that at some point and play it together, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like the different aspect of this. I'm looking forward to it because Rainbow Six is a game that I've been looking to get back into for a long time. It's one of the best franchises out there and always has been,
And you know what? I'm now that I think about it, I think I'm gonna give it more of a chance than I was going to before, because I remember there was this movie a while ago. It never really made it that big, but do you remember Battlefield Los Angeles?
Battlefield Los Angeles. I think I remember. Yeah, I remember the name, but I don't remember much about it other than that. Was The Rock in that movie? No, that was something different.
No. Neo was in that movie, the singer.
Neo the singer. Who's Neo the singer?
Neo.
I don't know who Neo the singer is.
Neo.
He's an R&B singer.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure who that is. I guess I'm not cool. I'm kind of a square.
He's written songs for Beyonce. One of the biggest songs that To Your Left, everything you own in a box to your left.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
He's a writer, but he also does sing, and he's got a bunch of hit songs. He was an actor in that movie.
He's in movies too. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the premise of that was that you were the military and were being invaded by aliens, and I've always thought that is a fantastic subject for a game, and I've never really seen it put that well on a game like that, where you're kind of like going through an alien invasion. So maybe this is the one. And you know what? Tactical, which makes sense because you're not going to run and gun against an alien force that you really don't know that much about. So it makes sense.
I can see this being a lot of fun.
Actually might be Yeah, this actually might be really,
You know
really
what
cool.
another last good comparison is? And then let's maybe move on to something else. Or maybe, Eli, you can give us what your thoughts are real quick. But I feel like it's almost like, remember, we always bring it up, how much fun we used to have. This is like the flood levels in Halo. Kind of, but better, because it's going to be more tactical. Because you used to have so much fun, right? We used to be like, well, you know, there's a guy at your 3 o'clock, or like second level. Like, we were very strategic about how we played Halo. Like, we're not your standard Halo players. We're like slow through the hallways, playing it on legendary, whatever difficulty. But this is going to be even more intense. So this might be more fun.
Yeah,
I've been looking.
The more we talk about it, the more excited I'm getting.
Yeah, I like the idea of this one. What do you think, Eli? Are you kind of looking forward to this based on what we're talking about? I know you don't play Rainbow Six as much as as Walt and I, but is this something that you might be interested in based on all the stuff we're talking about?
I like the concept.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
No.
When you're thinking about aliens and stuff like the flood and all that, I don't really see that level of tacticalness and strategy when you're fighting aliens. It's like fighting zombies, basically.
Yeah.
For instance, like with the flood and stuff in Halo.
I guess more what I'm saying is you can create a plan that will definitely go wrong. But like you can start with a plan in this one more than you could in Halo. In Halo, you just charge at them and shoot them. In Rainbow Six, it's like what door you go through, what gadget you use. Maybe you can use flashbangs on aliens in this one and like, you know, make it hard for them to see.
That'll be interesting.
Well, they have like a react thing which causes like whenever the aliens come out, they get electrocuted.
In which one? In this game?
Okay. So I guess you could like set up barriers for that by placing like a react at the door. Okay, so you know what? Yeah, you know, I can kind of see it, but like I said, whenever I think of aliens, I think of a more run and gun situation. Because I'm so used to the flood and Halo, and I never had that strategicness when I was fighting them.
I guess think of Halo if you could set some traps for the flood and see if you could extend that into maybe something that this can be in the future. But we'll see. I mean, this is just their first look at it, right?
Well, it comes out in 3 months, so they better hurry up. It's set to come out September 16th.
No.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it when it does come out. I think I'm definitely going to be.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it too, unless I hear something really bad in the next few months, or like, or like some development hell type issues. I think I'm really into this one, for sure. So let's see, what else can we jump on, you guys? Let's see. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about the VR?
So much stuff, right?
I know you guys were excited about that. Should we jump into that for a little bit?
Yeah, we're actually doing an entire episode on the CrossGen podcast devoted just to the VR offerings. But there's a couple of games, and we'll touch on it real quick, just for the sake of getting onto some of the other big releases that are coming out. There's a PSVR exclusive that Eli is exceptionally excited about. We may actually have to consider getting a PSVR for it, and that's called Fracked, and it's a PSVR exclusive.
Is that only for PS5 or is it for PS4 VR?
Given the fact that they haven't done a PS5 version of the virtual reality equipment, I'm assuming it's going to be a PS4.
Well, thing. E3 actually, for an update, they revealed the controllers for the PS5 VR. They haven't revealed the PS5 VR yet, but they revealed the controllers. If you look at them, actually, they look like the scabbard of a sword or something. Like, you know how like with certain swords, you kind of. It's hard to say. Let me send this article to you really quickly so you can see what I'm talking about. They did reveal the controllers. I like how they look because it looks like it'll be hard to kind of like fling them around a little bit. You know, they actually look like the Oculus, a little bit like the Oculus Quest 2 controllers that you brought over a couple of weeks ago. Let me send this to you real quick. But so I'm sorry for
it'll be an improvement.
But tell me,
it'll be an improvement because the Move controllers I don't think were ever that functional.
Jesus, that looks.
Yeah, that looks exactly like the Oculus, except that they're.
Oh, you guys are seeing it already? Eli pulled it up. Yeah. So you guys see what I mean?
Except the circular part is towards the bottom, which is a little weird because usually that is the sensor that allows you to use your hands and stuff.
Oh God, what is that?
Yeah, that's Well, hey, listen, it's an improvement from the Move controllers. I'll say that much. The Move controllers were kind of weird, and that's kind of the reason why I never got into the PSVR. That and the fact that it's not 360 movement, so you're basically kind of tethered to a chair when you're using PSVR, as opposed to the Oculus Quest and stuff, where it's free movement all around.
By the way, you're
stuff.
coming over later. Bring it again. I want to try to play it again. It's fun.
Yes.
Yo, I gotta. Oh my god, I'm
and
so
there's
excited.
gonna be that. This is the second thing, but first talk about Fracked, and then you can get into that.
Yeah, tell us about
You know
it.
what I'm talking about,
Yes,
right?
I do, because you're going to try it as soon as this podcast
Yeah,
is
and
over.
I also have something else that I want to show.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
But talk about
Tell us
Fracked.
about it.
Yeah, okay. Yo. Fracked is freaking, bro. It's freaking amazing. It's
It's
like
a shooter.
it's like
obviously.
Rainbow Six Siege with a little bit less tacticalness, but
There is no tacticalness. You're basically running and gunning
Well,
and
yeah,
shooting
you know what, you're right.
everything that's out there.
Just a little bit
and
less.
bro, but yeah, I think it's on rails, right?
It does look like it's a game on rails, as opposed to being open world. But you know what? With the level of insanity that's on there,
That won't matter.
I think it's actually a pretty good choice.
Yeah. So basically, this game Fracked is all about. I think it's set in sci-fi, a little bit.
Could be.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's sci-fi,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. Basically, you're shooting, you're on rails, but you can also like freaking ski. I think they have a grappling hook. What else do they have?
They have a lot of things.
They have a lot
they,
of things.
They do introduce cover, right? So
Well,
cover is
yeah,
a
there's
big thing.
cover.
But there's blind firing, which is again something
Yeah.
that you really haven't seen in VR as much.
Okay.
So there's a lot of interesting elements on it, and it looks insanely fun.
Bro,
I think that's the most important
Like
thing.
literally, the first time when we started watching the trailer, the first thing that was freaking happening was like you were on skis just shooting people
On
like,
snowmobiles.
Yeah, on snowmobiles, and they were like freaking skiing and stuff, and it was just, bro.
Okay.
There's no real way to describe this game. It just looks freaking amazing.
I'm taking a look at it.
There's nothing to say about
a trailer right
it. It's
now.
amazing.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like the art
but,
style. It looks like Borderlands. You guys have played
it does.
Borderlands, right?
Sort of.
Yeah,
we've played.
I played a
Borderlands.
couple of them. Yeah, the art style is really, really nice. I feel like what is this? It's like VR Time Crisis, maybe, right? Because it's on rails. So you guys remember Time Crisis, that arcade shooter where like all you did was just like step on the pedal to get out of cover,
Yep.
right? So if this is on rails, maybe like I guess you progress by like pressing a button, and then like, I mean, the shooting action looks fun. That's for sure. Now I'm like,
the game looks insanely fun. The game looks insanely fun. So that's the best aspect of it. You get a little hints of the story, but at the end of the day, I think what's really going to make or break is how fun the game is going to be, and it looks very, very
yeah.
fun.
This is not tactical at all, by the way.
No. Yeah. So what's the other thing that you're excited about? I have an idea, but let Eli talk about it.
Go ahead, buddy.
First.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Gun whip? No, pistol whip.
What on earth is that?
So
I got to look that up too.
It's not a new game. I understand that. I don't know when it came out, and I know it's for Oculus, right?
It's for Oculus and for Steam. So
not PS.
Oh,
it's not.
Is that
PS.
the one? This is the one you said
that
you're going to try it right now after the podcast, right?
Yep.
Cool.
It is John Wick meets Equilibrium.
I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm pulling this one up right now to take a look at. Excuse me. Yeah.
But bro, look, it's
game. The game was well reviewed. I think right. It had like all these awards.
Yeah.
It was 9.5 and above, so it's an awesome game. But Eli's super excited.
Bro. Right? Literally. So this is like Beat Saber, right? It's a rhythm game. You have a pistol. You just shoot people on point and stuff and dodge stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically a Beat Saber game, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Except it's cell shaded, so it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And you're fighting like robots, I believe, right?
Yeah. Super colorful too.
Yeah, and I think the newest update that they just released was like freaking. What they could do is that they added like modifiers to the gameplay.
Yes.
So, bro, I literally saw like a little bit of the gameplay, and they had like this thing called bullet hell, and I'm
Okay.
pretty sure you could see where that's going.
Yeah.
You had like bullets flying everywhere, and you couldn't even see anything. So
This is a
it
rhythm
definitely
game.
looks like
Interesting.
yeah, it definitely looks like an insanely fun game, bro.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit? It's not at all the same gameplay, I would imagine, but there's this game that I tried called Super Hot. It's a shooting
Yes.
game where like you manipulate time, and it looks graphically like this one. It doesn't. The gameplay is probably not at all the same though. But
No.
if it's well regarded, man, I was talking to some friends about this the other day. Not to get too off topic, but we can get back to E3 in a moment. But like Oculus Quest 2, he had tried Oculus Quest and he was really unimpressed. But Oculus Quest 2 seems to be coming out with like a really good library of games, like some high
Oh,
quality games.
they're coming out with some AAA titles.
Yeah.
The one that I'm most excited about is that they're going to be doing Resident Evil on Oculus,
man.
which is going to be amazing.
I want Half-Life
Amazing.
Alyx so bad. I'll buy a Oculus Quest 2 tomorrow if they come out with that.
You cannot, believe it or not, you cannot play Half-Life on the Oculus Quest. You need to have it tied to a computer.
Yeah, you can hack it and make it work. I've definitely seen that, but I don't have a computer either. So I got to get a PC
you need
eventually,
something,
but I want to get it
you need,
native to the Oculus Quest. I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, because the thing about the Oculus Quest 2 is that it's a powerful little thing, but it's not equipped for those type of titles. They have to really port it over. So, but the workaround is that they do have this proprietary cable, and it does connect to Steam. So anything that's on Steam that your PC can handle, you can theoretically play it on the Oculus
You're like
Quest 2.
kind of
Games
streaming it, I guess, in a sense, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So that's the workaround that Oculus has provided everybody, and it really opens up the thing, because now you can play games like Half-Life, like Skyrim, you know, all these AAA games. The only thing is that you're tethered, but I will say one thing real quick before we move on. Oculus Quest has now, on their latest update, opened up experimental features, and one of the experimental features that they have is a thing called AirLink. So now you can theoretically stream from your PC without wires, which really is huge for that platform.
If you get a good rig, it's going to be super worth it. Absolutely.
Exactly.
You got to get a good PC rig, but otherwise,
that's something really, really cool that Oculus is working on. So
all right.
Anyway,
let's jump to. I think we should jump back to Ubisoft again real quick, unless you have some other thoughts on that game, Eli.
No.
I think what we should.
It's just an awesome game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it later today. I'm gonna be on that for sure, and I want to try that rock climbing game, except this time without the controllers, and see how responsive that is. Curious for sure.
The Climb 2.
The Climb 2. Yeah, that game was fun.
Yeah,
it was really fun. So what I'm looking at now, and there's not a lot of information on this one yet, but we're jumping back to Ubisoft, and I know that this looks real pretty, because the movie also looked real pretty. You guys remember it's the most financially successful movie of all time again, because they re-released it. I'm talking about Avatar. There's a game coming out for Avatar. Do we know anything about this? There's not a lot of information about it yet, as far as we know. Right?
It looks really pretty.
That's it.
It looks really
good. That's all we know.
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean,
it does look like it's an open world game, just from the trailer. But like you said, not a lot of information on it. You know, it's kind of like they gave you kind of like a really long teaser trailer for it.
Okay. So there's not much on that yet. The graphics look really cool. I can see that being a fun game simply for the fact that it's going to be open world, because I feel like a lot of people were like this with Avatar. I didn't watch it for the story. Nobody watched it. I mean, some people watch it for the story, but I watched it because the special effects were dope and the world was actually really well conceived. It was good world building. So I would like to see that kind of interaction in an open world game. If they pull the world in and
Yeah.
really really make it as interesting as they did in the movies, then I can see it being a lot of fun. You know, fighting those gigantic freaking space or like flying craft that they have versus the Navi on their flying
They're
creatures, whatever they
dragons.
were,
Yeah.
pterodactyls, dragons, and stuff like that. I can see it being fun in like the sense of I always like to refer to something else. It's like a better version maybe of Ark Survival Evolved. You guys have played that game where it's open world, you're on an island, you tame dinosaurs, you build
Yep.
structures. I can see this maybe being similar just based off of what I've seen in the movie. What do you guys think of it so far?
Well, I do have a story premise that was released
Mm-hmm.
based on what Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is going to be based
Right.
upon. So I'm gonna read it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
In this new standalone story, you play as a Navi and embark on a journey across the Western Front, a never before seen part of Pandora. Explore a living and reactive world inhabited by unique creatures and new characters, and push back against the formidable RDA forces that threaten it. So there is a story behind it. It looks like it's going to be an original story. It's going to tie back loosely to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you play a new character, you're playing in a different place. So hopefully you'll have new adventures. It looks interesting. It really, really does. So I would say that I am kind of excited for it. Um, that it looks like a an interesting thing, like you said, the elements of flying those dragons against those spaceships, and you saw that in the trailer
Mm-hmm.
where one of them took down that flying ship. That looks
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Seeing all the animals, and hopefully it's a lived-in world similar to some of the great
It
ones.
really looks like it,
Um,
which is what I'm impressed by.
yeah.
It looks like there's a lot of flora and fauna in this one. So that looks exciting.
So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. I will be looking forward to it, and I'm going to keep tabs on it to see how it progresses. And the fact that it's Ubisoft that's doing it, I'll give them more credit than most developers, because they usually tend to roll out really well made games.
Yeah,
So
they have
this
a
is
good
one to
track
look
record
at.
for sure. I mean,
Yeah, this is one to
this is
look at.
coming in 2022, and I think the good thing that I enjoy about this is that they, at this point, I already have an Xbox Series X, so like I don't need the last gen versions of these games. This is not releasing for PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. It is only for next gen consoles, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, Stadia, and Luna, which I think is really going to allow them to take advantage and make this a very, very good looking and very, very well done game. So I'm excited about it. Yeah, the graphics definitely look amazing. If this is what the game looks like and the world is as lived in as what we see in this trailer, then I'd be excited to play this. This is something that looks a lot like a game that we'll talk briefly about later on, that I'm excited about, which is Horizon Forbidden West. But I don't know. What are your guys' comments on it other than what we said? Walt, did you want to say something, or Eli, did you want to take a quick mention of what you've seen about Avatar Frontiers of Pandora so far?
I'm gonna defer to Eli for
Yeah.
now, because I want to talk about something else that Ubisoft may be working on, but I want to finish this part
Okay.
first.
Okay. What do you think, Eli? Do you
Uh,
have some thoughts on what you saw in the trailer so far?
I mean, it looks good, but like, I'm not too excited about a lot of these games because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like you had Rainbow Six Siege,
Mm-hmm.
and it just feels like it's copies of games.
Oh,
I
you
felt
think
that.
Avatar is kind of like ripping off some stuff?
No, I don't feel like it's ripping off,
It
but
wouldn't be
like,
the first time people claim Avatar rips off some
Yeah.
stuff.
wait,
So
what?
Pocahontas in space.
yeah, there you
No,
go.
but like, I don't know. I just feel like it's like another sort of like Far Cry game, I guess,
Mm,
in
okay.
that
That's
sense.
a good
That's not
comparison,
the worst
really.
comparison.
And
You're not as much of a
Yeah.
fan of Far Cry as AJ, I guess.
no, I'm fine. Far Cry is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Believe me, but like, it gets. I don't know. A lot of these games seems like it gets to the point where they're just like, it's almost. It's not unoriginal. I mean, but
Mm.
it's like it's a little bit in the middle. You know.
Well, open
I
world
don't know. It
games are
just
kind of getting that way to a certain extent, I think.
Yeah.
especially if they stick to similar themes. That's why we love standouts like Ghost of Tsushima, like games that are really trying to do things a little bit differently than previous open world games. I mean, AJ loves Grand Theft Auto. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
I'm over it, but I didn't go crazy for Grand Theft Auto 5. I was more a GTA 4 guy, and then I'm like kind of played a little bit of GTA 5 because I'm looking for something new and big. And I'm really excited. I think part of the reason why, Eli, not to disagree with you, but the reason that I'm excited about this game and some of these other open world games is because if you look at what's going on with game development this generation, it looks like they're really going to make some amazing open world games because of the cloud computing and all the new technology that they're going to throw into these games. We're going to get huge, very lived in worlds. At least that's what it looks like. So that's why I'm excited for some of the
Okay.
open world stuff that's coming out. But I get it. If you're not excited about it, there's got to be something else you're excited about, and we'll get to it.
Okay.
All right. Walt, I know you wanted to talk about some possible news, some rumors,
Yeah,
perhaps we'll call it. Why don't you tell us about it?
well, it's a little bit more than rumors because
Mhm.
it seems like they're actively developing this,
Mhm.
but Ubisoft has entered into a partnership with the studio formerly known as Lucasfilm Games, which Disney is kind of resurrecting and stuff. And the report is that their massive Ubisoft's massive entertainment studio is working with Disney to create a drumroll please an open world Star Wars game.
Which was something that was being worked on a few years ago, right? I don't think it was by
Yep.
Ubisoft. Was it Ubisoft? No, it was somebody
I
else.
don't think so. I think it was it was somebody else and stuff. But this is really, really exciting news. Now, again, details are really, really scarce on this because it's still in development. They're actually literally going out and looking for, programmers to work on this. So they're still hiring for the project. So it's really, really early in its infancy. But um that would be amazing. I mean, imagine an open world where you're in the Star Wars universe. I mean, you were talking about how just literally 2 seconds ago how developers are really, really opening up these open worlds with all this
Yeah.
technology. Imagine if you have it in the Star Wars universe. I mean, that would be crazy.
I was just thinking that yesterday, actually, because I've been playing a lot of, I told you guys on one of our last Geek Out episodes, I've been playing a heck of a lot of No Man's Sky with the new update, Prisms. And yesterday,
Mhm.
it popped into my head like, man, how amazing would this game be if it was in the Star Wars
Exactly.
universe?
Exactly.
Right? Like,
Imagine the
I
possibility,
want to
right?
fly an X-wing to like every planet in the Star Wars galaxy, and like visit Mos Eisley spaceport and like really visit it. You know what I mean? Like thinking of all that because you visit the space stations and all that stuff in No Man's Sky. I'm like, what if I was talking to like a Gungan right now instead of like this race of aliens that I'm talking to in this game?
Remember how when we were younger we used to fantasize about stuff like that,
Yeah.
where we would
Yeah.
talk about an X-wing flying off of a planet, and you actually,
Yeah.
instead of a cutscene, you would actually
They
see
can do that
yourself
now.
flying into
They can
space.
do that now. That's why it's exciting.
And the generic voiceovers where it's like you just replace the line with the person's name is like, hello, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
We can do that now, so we're there, um and so like I said, this is really, really exciting. The director of Division 2 and the crew is the one that's really heading up this project. Those are some pretty good games.
The
And
Division
so
wasn't super well received, but the Division 2, a lot of people
no,
say it fixed all of the big problems that the first one had. And I played it. It's a fun game.
exactly. So yeah, so there's promise there. So that's something to make sure you keep in your notes and stuff, because we're probably going to get a lot more as this project progresses, and hopefully it'll be really exciting news whatever they drum up with over there.
Quick important like thing to note, talking about the Division 2 and games like that, it's going to use the same engine as the Division 2, the same game engine, the Snowdrop engine.
Yes.
It's called, I'm looking at, and that engine is actually solid because there's environmental destruction, there's great lighting, there's procedural elements to how the world is generated. So, I mean, yeah, the Division 2, no matter what you think about it, is a very pretty game. So I'm excited to see them use that engine. And again, the physics in that game are cool. I'm excited to see them kind of throw this in there too, because one thing that's fun about the Division, and then we'll definitely move on to something else, is that when you're fighting in like an office or something like that, like papers and things are flying everywhere. So it gives this great, really exciting element to the physics. Like stuff from the office is just like, flying and getting destroyed and getting shot. So I can see that being really cool, like shooting up a cantina in Star Wars or something like that.
Yeah,
but
and the other cool thing is that the crew is not the best game out there. It's a racing game, but the allure of the crew is that you can drive coast to coast. You can literally drive from New York to California.
I think it's one of the largest
so
maps
again
in open world games right now.
Exactly. You can literally drive anywhere in the United States. That was kind of the allure of the game. And so again, open world, it really shows that the guy kind of knows how to do this kind of stuff. So it bodes well for the future of this project. So
surely,
definitely excited.
What do you think, Eli? Did you see any of this information about this game? Would you be looking forward to a Star Wars open world game? Would that be exciting?
Totally. I didn't really know too much about this. In fact, I didn't know about it at all until you guys brought it up. But like an open world Star Wars game where you can travel like
anywhere
intergalactically, right?
Yeah, different planets and stuff.
So where you could, yeah. So, bro, that's just, I don't know. That's.
That's good. Have you tried the Division at all? Just out of curiosity, have you ever played a little bit of it?
You haven't?
No. Okay.
Wait, what's the Division again?
The Division and Division 2.
It's a shooting game.
It's like an open world shooting game.
Yeah, I've never tried it.
I think the first one was in
one
New
of
York
them
City.
set in New York.
That was the first one, I think.
Yeah, the one in New York, and then the second one is in Washington, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The second one I think is Washington.
Yeah, you're right. So it's like an open world shooting game that probably would lend itself well to making that, basically just turning that into a Star Wars game, and just add like some spaceships and flying to different planets, and you got yourself
and you're good
a game. You know what I mean?
You know what? Yeah, it sounds for this new Star Wars game when it's announced, right? It might be.
It's in development.
Yeah, it's
like
in development.
Really, really early in development.
Yeah. So like, but I can see them going places with this. I definitely like to see a story within this.
Yeah. Something to guide you through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, it's a nice idea. It's a nice idea.
Imagine if they do like a thing where it's like you have the story elements, but then again you can do kind of like GTA 5 stuff.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
That would be incredible.
I have to keep bringing it up, but No Man's Sky is a great example of how you do this, because there's a simple narrative. You're like trying to find some alien at the center of the galaxy, but you can do whatever you want otherwise. You know what I mean? And I think if they do that with this Star Wars game, where they have a little bit of a narrative that we can have fun with and sink our teeth into in moments. But yeah, you just want to go to different planets and fight like TIE fighters, or like get in just gunfights, like that's the stuff we want to see.
Just F crap up.
Or jump in vehicles. If they had like ground vehicles and stuff too,
oh
like
my
land
gosh,
speeders and things like that, and then like AT-AT or ATST walkers, like I'm done. I'm just definitely buying it. So
sign me up.
And these are both being like this and Avatar are both being made by Ubisoft, so they're making huge properties into games that are coming out in the next year or so. They got a lot to live up to with those two fan bases, that's for sure.
Yeah,
big time. What else do we got at E3? What other confirmed stuff do we have that's releasing later this year? I know a game that we can talk about. We've played the first one. We played multiplayer every once in a while, Eli, you and I, and AJ as well. Dying Light 2, releasing December 7th. Eli, open it up for us.
Bro.
Talk about it. What do you think? Have you seen anything on this game so far?
I'm actually gonna pull it up right now if I can find it.
I've sorta seen stuff on it.
So-
I haven't really gotten a chance to look at it,
Uh-huh.
but I know that it's focusing more on the parkour aspects because I saw like something a little bit of a while ago, and basically, bro, it looks pretty awesome. I'm watching something right now, and bro, it looks like it's also focusing more on the story element because I know Dying Light 1 wasn't really focused on anything particular with the story. You were just basically in an open world place where you were just killing zombies.
Did you beat the first one?
No, the last
There was
time
some
we
story
went
in
to
it that I had seen from
Well-
as far as I've gotten.
Yeah, there was
Mhm.
some story,
Yeah.
but like I said, it wasn't focused on it. At least I don't think so. But
Dying Light 2 is amazing. I mean,
yeah.
just looking at the graphically
graphics.
wise, it is amazing what the way they've done this.
And how you can interact with like different zombies. Like I just saw somebody push like a zombie off a building
And
or
land on
something.
him. Yeah. He jumped with the zombie
Yeah.
and just landed on the zombie. I mean, you know what this reminds me? I always got to like give comparisons to games that I enjoyed back in the day, but it looks like when they added greater parkour elements in this game, it's a little bit more like you guys remember Mirror's Edge?
Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's
Yep.
Edge was a game that was
Yeah.
all about parkour, and it was really fun in its parkour elements. If they add that as a more solid gameplay element, because the parkour was definitely solid in the first one, but it was nowhere near the level of polish that a game like Mirror's Edge had. So if they add that, like that's already going to make the game more fun than the first one. And graphically, yeah, I agree. Eli and Walt, this looks really, 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 really good.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yo.
far.
The lighting elements are amazing. They just showed back to back one where I guess the guy was using a flamethrower, and then they cut to a scene where it's sunset in between two buildings. Amazing how this thing
They
looks.
really
Amazing.
improved the animations too.
Yo.
I like the animations.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
The guy just did a backflip,
Yeah.
which looks incredible in slow motion, no
Uh-huh.
less. So, you know,
This is looking
Hey yo.
really solid.
It's looking bro. We still got to get through the first
Yes,
game.
we do.
the first game was fun, wasn't
First
it?
game was fun. for
Very,
sure.
very.
It's a lot
And,
of fun.
bro-
I suck at it because I have a terrible character, but Eli was guiding me around that world and keeping me safe. So
I was
Happy for
beating
that.
like
Didn't you find Excalibur, the sword, in the
Yeah.
game?
Andre, literally, we were just going for a regular swim, and then all of a sudden we see a sword on a rock, and it turns out we just happened to stumble across the best weapon in
Yeah.
the game. So it's like, bro, and I'd love to see what they could do with like different, different zombies and different weapons. Because, bro, imagine they bring back the jailbreaker dude back. You know which guy I'm talking about,
Wait,
right,
which
Walt?
one?
That's the big guy, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I've
The
killed
really big zombie.
like this dude who had like a freaking what was it? Like some sort of like baton, like a huge baton, and he's like freaking huge. He has the jail
wasn't
clothes.
wasn't that like a street sign or something like that he ripped out of the floor? Or
Yeah,
am
he
I
just-
thinking about somebody
He
else?
ripped out like rocks and stuff. And,
Yeah.
bro. I'd love to see, especially since they're working on animation. I'd love to see that guy in this game because before he was really easy to beat. You just need to dodge around. So I'm glad that it looks like they're getting more into like gameplay and stuff like that.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, was that him?
I think that might have been him.
That might have been him.
And it does look like they're going to be leaning, based on the trailer that we're looking at, it does look like they're going to be leaning more into the story.
And gameplay.
Because there is elements there where they're talking to other characters, like military guys. So there does look like there might be a little bit more of an emphasis of story on this in this particular version.
And UV. They have UV. I saw a
Yes.
UV scene.
You know,
That looked amazing.
You know what I like about it also? One thing that I didn't love about the first one is that even though it was open world, it was to be honest with you, I felt like it was kind of a boring open world. There's not a lot of variety. There's not a lot going on in there. I think that this one looks vastly better. Like it seems like it's a much more lived in world, which we love about open world games. We like that there be like background elements and people that go about their lives in a normal way, people you can interact with, things you can do. Again, that's why we love Ghost of Tsushima, because there's so much to do in that world. I mean, I still haven't finished everything that there is to do in that game. So this one, yeah, looks more lived in. It looks like it's even more vertical in terms of like where you roam around and the gameplay and the parkour elements. So that has me super excited. And it looks like just more seamless in the parkour gameplay overall. I'm looking forward to it for those reasons alone. And I guess we got to get back into the first one. Maybe we'll jump into a stream or something like that soon. We haven't done one of those in a bit.
Yeah. It does look like they've upped the ante with the zombies also, because there are some glowing zombies, some zombies with disformed and stuff with huge nails and whatnot. So
bro, that's
interesting.
That's gonna be scary as hell, because literally, I remember in the last game, I was already scared of zombies in the daylight. There were like ones that ran like freaking like 50 miles per hour 300 miles per hour, and like
50.
Bro, seeing this, imagine them chasing you in the night, because night wasn't really a thing that I saw in. Maybe it's because I wasn't far through the game, but like,
no, they're crazy at night. They're worse at night in the first one.
Yeah, I know. And
ooh, man,
the fact that they're anteing up zombies and they were already insane in the first game, I'm just like, bro, I'm like freaking terrified.
That's gonna make for more of a fun challenge, I think, because the first game also wasn't that difficult. I don't think either.
It's gonna be.
It was a fun little sandbox. I feel like the first game was like just an experience, and this is the first one that's really a game that has the super polished.
Yeah, like the first one was kind of like a beta, right?
Yeah, a fun one. So, again, really fun.
Crazy.
But like, I guess maybe they didn't even expect it to be that good, and they were like, "Oh, people love this game. Dope sequel."
Yeah, the part of the trailer that we're watching now has those exact elements from Mirror's Edge.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm really enjoying about it. Mirror's Edge was a game that I had a lot of fun with. A lot of fun with. All right, let's move on to a couple of more things. There's a few more things I want to talk about. Do you want to say anything else, Eli? I felt like you were trying to jump in there. You want to give us some final thoughts, or do you want to move on?
Well,
go ahead.
Okay, last thing, because I know.
Go ahead.
But like, bro, the violence, like, you could freaking chop heads off, and it's much more. It's much more realistic. It looks like, realistic to an
quote
extent,
unquote realistic, more realistic compared to like the zombie stuff that we love to watch, where they just kick the crap out of a bunch of zombies and cut off heads and cut them in half and all that good stuff here. All right,
and you don't fight necessarily just zombies; you fight humans also,
which the first one didn't have a lot of. So that'll be more interesting to get that aspect of it, and the strategy is going to be different for fighting humans, obviously, compared to zombies. So that looks fun. I got a couple of other things. I'm gonna turn this one kind of to you, Walt, because there's a couple of games that are coming out, and we've always been a fan of this genre for sure. But I want to talk about briefly. We haven't seen it yet, I guess. So we've seen a little bit of it. We got our next Forza game coming out. And just to keep the conversation kind of in the same spot, there's also, at least it's believed, that they're going to announce Gran Turismo 7 for PlayStation 5. So we got a couple of cool looking racing games coming out here. I don't know if you've seen anything from Gran Turismo 7. It's scheduled to launch sometime in 2022. I think Forza, doesn't that come out later this year? What do you think about those games so far? What do you see?
Well, I do like what Sony is doing, and unfortunately, it's interesting that you bring up Gran Turismo, because Sony is not a part of E3.
Right.
They haven't been for a couple of things. They've chosen to kind of take out their announcements and do it in their state of play events and whatnot. So they've kind of no worries. They've kind of shrugged E3 and say, you know what, thanks, but we're good. We'll do it on our own. Which I guess it makes sense for them, because it really does it does amp the excitement for Sony only games, and their stuff is kind of like not lost in the shuffle if there's like a huge announcement by Microsoft or Bethesda or Ubisoft. They kind of have the spotlight to themselves. Another Gran Turismo game. I mean, seriously, that is just an awesome thing. I literally, and I told my kids this, and this as well. Part of the thing that made me such a great driver is the fact that I played Gran Turismo. You know,
just
what
had
I'm
to
saying?
read the instruction manual.
There
That was like
exactly, which was
reading
like super thick.
actual guides. Yeah, I actually looked for it online. I couldn't
Yeah,
find it because I wanted to prove to people that was like a good resource for learning how to drive, but I can't find it.
It was literally what, like 60 pages
It was
long
a
or something
lot.
like
I
that.
mean, it talked
It
about
was
like how
it was a huge
it talks
thing.
about like how when you brake, like the weight of the car shifts forward, like real detail, crazy detail in driving.
Contact size where it comes to your tires and things like that. How much of the tire is on the actual asphalt, and why you want more tire and less tire in certain situations and things like that. I mean,
Hitting the
it
apex of a
really,
turn,
really got deep.
all that good stuff.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
So I credit my dad with teaching me a lot when it comes to driving, but you know what? The supplemental stuff came from Gran Turismo.
Really? That's how we learned to be really good
know?
drivers. Absolutely.
Exactly. I like what they're doing because apparently it's not just going to be a PS5 exclusive. It's going to also jump onto the PS4, obviously with diminished graphics. But I think it's a really good idea, just because of the fact that, and what the guy said is true. I forget who was the one that said it, but you don't want to disenfranchise the millions and hundreds of millions of people that have PS4s who can't get a PS5 right now because of the situation that's going on with these chips
Crazy
and
shortages,
deliveries and things of that nature.
Crazy shortages.
Right. So it does make sense that they're going to drop it on the PS4. I'm totally excited about it. I mean, it's a Gran Turismo game. The most thing you're going to probably do is add more cars, maybe some more tracks to it. Maybe you open up another league in terms of gameplay and stuff, but it's kind of going to be basic. But it's just the improvements that they make to it, game to game, is what really excites me about it. So definitely looking forward to it. The Forza stuff.
Have you seen any details on that? There's a great article that
I haven't.
Well,
I haven't really.
Okay.
Is it Forza Motorsport or Forza Horizon that's coming out?
It is Forza Motorsport. That's the one that's coming out on Xbox Series X. They're going to do some more play tests that people can jump in on to try the game. Let me see. Another play test will take place this summertime, sometime between June and September. They did one in May, but here's some stuff that sounds really, really cool. I'll give you some perspective so you can get hyped about this. Here's a small detail that I'm reading in this article from Tech Radar that sounds really cool into how they're changing the physics in this game. You want to talk about detail and realism, right? So let's put it this way. This is from
Forza has always suffered, and especially Motorsport, as being known as Gran Turismo Light.
No, not,
and it's unfortunate.
It's not
it's
at
unfortunate,
all,
especially at the beginning.
It's so realistic.
No, I know.
I don't know why they would say
that. The perception is different from the reality here.
I mean, let's be frank.
But especially when it first came out, everybody obviously compared it to Gran Turismo, and the first iterations were not the best, but they've continuously updated and made this so much better. I don't think those comparisons are realistic anymore, but unfortunately the perception is still there.
I mean, I actually think the last few Forza games have been better than some of the most recent Gran Turismo games, but that's opinion. We'll move beyond that right now. From Forza Motorsport's creative director Chris Esaki, the tires in Forza Motorsport and the way they interact with the road has been dramatically increased. According to Esaki, the tire collision model from the first game to Forza Motorsport 7 had a single point of contact with the track surface and refreshed at 60 hertz. In Forza Motorsport, there are now 8 points of contact with the track surface, and the engine will refresh at 360 hertz. So, according to this, if you do the math, that's a 48 times fidelity jump for a single tire collision. So that's going to make the physics way, way crazier.
Right.
So they're like really, 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 really going to lean into the physics. There's some stuff with the weather they're going to do. They're going to change how you interact with curbs on the track. They're really working on a lot of crazy details with Forza Motorsport. So this is going to give Gran Turismo an absolute run for its money in realism, I would imagine, even though we don't know much about Gran Turismo
I
7 so far.
I don't doubt it in the very least. I just hope that they find a way to market this very, very well.
Yeah.
You know, because again, I think when people think about driving games, their first inclination will always be Gran Turismo.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully
I know
so.
you're going to get both
But
anyway.
again, yeah, I know. I've done the same thing also. I have all the iterations of Forza, and I have the Gran Turismo games also.
Mhm.
So they each have their strengths. I just they need to get out there and say, hey, we're just not we're past those early games. We're really up there in terms of realism and things like
It's a
that. It's
new-
no longer arcade sim, it's sim all the way. And if you really like games like that, you need to check us out. So
It's a new world. It's a brand new world with
and
these games.
I think Game Pass Ultimate will have a big say in how they do with this, because if they put it on there, it's gonna really open up a lot of people's eyes, in a very
I
positive
think
sense. So
Microsoft's going to do that with practically everything. I really feel like they are.
yeah,
Like because they're doing it. If they're doing it with like maybe if our thoughts are kind of closed on this one, let's jump on this other game, right? This other Xbox exclusive, Halo Infinite. We don't know much about it yet. There's not a lot of new stuff about it. We'll probably see something at
right.
E3. We don't even know a release date for it yet, but we do know it's going to be on Game Pass as soon as it drops, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Microsoft is definitely going to do. They're gonna lose a little bit of money on selling these games, put them on Game Pass, build up some more of a fan base. And since it seems like, and this is getting off of the topic of Halo Infinite, because again, there's not much new about it yet, so there's not much to say.
No.
But it looks like what we've seen, according to some of the stuff we've seen from Microsoft, is they're going to start building like smaller consoles in a sense that will be able to stream Game Pass. So like devices like a Stadia.
Right.
You guys are familiar with Google Stadia. It's just a service. You might get a
Mm-hmm.
little small set-top box and a controller, and you stream your PC games. There's rumors that Microsoft is going to try to do something similar so they can just sell Game Pass to everybody. So I feel like Forza and all that definitely going to be on Game Pass day one.
And it's funny that you say that, and it's not a criticism of Sony, but it looks like Microsoft is really killing it when it comes to the services aspect of it. I mean, some of the games that are coming out for Sony are really, really interesting and stuff, but they don't have the same kind of reach and forethought that it seems Microsoft is trying to achieve right here. Because I think Microsoft, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make all these games really, really good, but they're trying to make it as accessible to everybody as possible. And I think that's a really, really smart way of doing this, because let's be real about this. They lagged in the last generation. Sony really, really took the crown last
They're
generation.
still lagging in this generation,
yeah, exactly.
So they have catching up to do with those services.
Right. But I think this is a good first step for them to make that leap forward, because I mean, the value just from Game Pass Ultimate, you cannot deny that.
Sony has to respond in some way. They have to.
But they haven't, which is weird, right?
They're going to. I've heard rumors that they're going to. I don't want to say that that's necessarily the case, but they have to do something. They have to create. They have to make PlayStation Now into something that's not like an afterthought. Because I have PlayStation Now. There's lots of cool games on there. I never use it. I use Game Pass all the time. I think I play Control on PlayStation Now and like, what is it? Undercooked 2 or Uncooked 2, some freaking play game. Undercooked 2. Yeah. That's it. That's all I've played on PlayStation Now. And well, I guess the last one I would say is that Claire, my girlfriend, tried Surviving Mars on PlayStation Now and decided to buy it. But I mean,
the one thing I do like about the PlayStation Now service is the fact that you don't have to download the game, and that makes it really, really easy to jump into a game that you never seen before, and you're like, oh, that looks interesting, let me try it. You can instantly jump into that. And that's one of the best aspects of PS Now that I think Game Pass Ultimate is still
I
missing.
think they're going to do it eventually.
Because if you see, I think they do. Yeah, absolutely. But the problem with Game Pass Ultimate is if you see a game, you have to download it. And then by the time that it's done, maybe you don't have that level of enthusiasm of playing it.
I'll give you a little bit of perspective. I think, Eli, you want to jump in, so I will absolutely let you give your opinion. But the only thing that I can say that indicates that Microsoft is going to do something similar is if you have the Android app, or I would imagine the iPhone app, you can stream games on there using Game Pass.
Well, yeah, and we tried that on the CrossGen podcast. It's called xCloud.
It was a separate feature, but now it's kind of integrated. It's not great though.
Yeah, but the problem is on the iPhone, it's not an app. You have to use the browser.
That's stupid. You can on Android, it's part of the Xbox app, Game Pass app.
Right, and that deals directly with Apple and its walled garden on how they wanna really keep things out
Them
and stuff.
Epic, man.
So right. So they've kind of done the workaround where it's like, okay, well, if we can't do it in the app, you can do it through the browser. And I gotta say this: we used it with a Razer Kishi, which is a mobile controller that you wrap around your iPhone. It works decently at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of lag issues. If you take it outside, it's unplayable.
Yeah.
So they still have a lot of work to do in terms of the streaming aspect of it. But
like you could absolutely
it's a
play
very good
PlayStation Now. I've done it streaming and it works very well.
Yeah. So in practice, in theory, it's a really good idea. In practice, not so much.
They need to work,
but
on it.
they're gonna work.
Yeah.
PS Now is very laggy though.
Yeah.
No, not PS Now.
PS Now. No, PS Now is not laggy at all. PS Now is great. PS Now is great.
Yeah, PS Now is perfect.
Yeah, it's not laggy
PS
at all.
Now is the PlayStation.
I played Control on PS Now. Have you seen Control? Control is Max Payne on steroids.
Think Eli is. You're thinking about this.
No, I'm thinking about PlayStation.
No. On the PlayStation?
Yeah, it's laggy.
You're wrong.
I've never had an issue with lag.
I love you, buddy, but no, the PlayStation Now is not laggy at all. I've played full AAA games on PlayStation Now with no lag at all. I've tried to do the same on the Game Pass app.
Or maybe internet.
Yeah, maybe the Wi-Fi, because we've been having Verizon Fios. I'm talking to you. Yeah. Well, no, they're pretty good when they're good, but when they're bad, they're pretty bad. And lately we've been having issues with Verizon Fios. One of them not being their issue because some stupid truck backed into one of the poles here and knocked out the wires, and we had no internet
Good
for
job.
How many days?
Yeah, for
like 5 days.
Yeah.
But when they're good, they're really good. But they do have some issues here and there.
The bad.
Yeah, so that's probably that's why I was lagging.
Okay, yeah.
Verizon Fios, I'm talking to you.
PlayStation Now has been really good in terms of streaming. It's Game Pass, that xCloud, that has been awful. I can't even get through through loading screens on xCloud. Like I'll try to start the game and it'll be like, nope, you can't do it. Your connection is poor. Like I said, I played.
I think it works. Yeah, I think it works if you're on a PC and you have a wired connection. Yeah. I think there it works fine.
It'll probably be more solid.
But if you're doing mobile, it doesn't work. And if you're doing Wi-Fi, it doesn't work.
Forget about it. All right. So we got a couple more things, and then I think we gotta close it out a little bit, and let E3 play out a little bit more so y'all can see what's gonna go on there. I guess kind of the biggest thing, it hasn't even been shown at E3 yet, from what I understand, but this game, people have been waiting for it as the next big Bethesda property, and all eyes are on Bethesda and Microsoft these days as a result of the big merger. They're trying to figure out what's going to happen. They're talking about what's going to be the next Fallout, what's going to be the next Skyrim, what's going to be the state of Bethesda on Game Pass. But there's also this little game that's a new franchise called Starfield, and there are rumors that we're finally gonna see a little more information on this game that has been in development and was indeed announced with a teaser trailer in 2018, and we haven't seen a darn thing about it ever since then. So yeah, what do you guys know anything about Starfield? I mean, we're talking a little bit without
I
information here, but what's the
I've heard
Starfield.
yeah, I've heard about it, but I have to plead ignorance. I haven't really jumped into that much about it.
Mhm.
Um,
Space game.
but it's a sci-fi RPG. I mean, how bad could that
Yeah.
be? Seriously, right?
So it's basically taking Bethesda's usual like fun times in either a post-apocalyptic Earth when you're talking about Fallout, or ancient times when you're talking about the Skyrim series, the Elder Scrolls series, of which AJ is a massive fan. I'm more the Fallout guy. So
Mm-hmm.
Starfield, for a little bit of information about it, we're supposed to get a release date at E3 for sometime in 2022. So let's take a look at what we know about this Bethesda title very quickly, so we could build a little bit of anticipation for y'all
Well,
on
the
this one.
good thing, well, the good thing and the bad thing. The good thing is that it seems like they're going to be presenting a teaser trailer at the Microsoft Bethesda event, which is going to happen in our time right now as we're recording, about 2.5 hours from now,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. So that's the bad thing. Unfortunately, we were not going to be able to talk about it because we won't see it by the time this podcast is over. But that seems to be, I think that's where we're going to get a little bit more information, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll kind of close it out with the very, very little bit of information we have so far. There's no indication as to whether this
Cool.
is going to be like Fallout or Skyrim. So they've been asked that question. They're like, what kind of game is this going to be? As Walter said, we know this is going to be a single player RPG experience. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
probably going to be some elements of it that are akin to how other Ubisoft properties, Bethesda properties, excuse me, have played in the past. So there's going to be a lot of side missions, a lot of great open world stuff from what we understand. The graphics that we've seen so far are amazing. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. If the game looks anything like this, that's automatically going to be a feather in the cap for it, that it will make me much, much, much more excited to see this. I guess,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? So this is what we know,
What's a
right? We don't know if
realistic
it's
number
coming
to
out on
that?
PS5. They've been working on it
It's
for
not.
over a decade. It's probably not coming out on PS5 at
Yeah,
this
it's
point. I don't know if they
no.
confirmed that.
It's definitely it. They already said that it's going to be a Xbox exclusive. So
All right.
suck on that, PlayStation.
Suck on that, Sony. I guess what I'm hoping for, let's put it that way, what I'm hoping for this game, with a little bit I know, is I still want to see some of that great open world stuff. Bethesda's so good at it. I think that maybe, how can I kind of put this, because I think that's something narrative wise that's akin to not Star Wars, maybe something more like The Expanse. I feel like if they build a world like that, Walt, you and I love The Expanse, absolutely love it.
Oh
I
yeah.
think if they
Oh
build
yeah.
like a world like that, some world building where it's grounded in some realism, but it has like some really cool sci-fi alien elements. Like, we know nothing about this. I see an alien species in one of these photos. But I think if they
Mm-hmm.
really, really lean into that aspect of it and give us obviously the ability to go between many different planets, maybe procedurally generate some of them like No Man's Sky, that would be what I would hope for. I mean, all I really want to do in this game is explore, and Bethesda's famous for that. So they're kind of
Well,
vague expectations, but if you could kind of pull that off for me, give me that kind of a world and that kind of open world exploration, which I'm really looking forward to, that's
it,
almost
it
good enough for me. What about you?
it's interesting that you say that because we do have some tidbits from one of the developers, Todd
Oh,
Howard,
cool. Okay.
who claims that space travel is going to be dangerous like the way flight was in the 40s.
Ooh, I like that.
And not only that, they traveled to SpaceX to bring authenticity to Starfield. So
Ooh,
we're going to get that sense where it's like, it's not a game, it's a science fiction game that's actually based in
that's what I loved
science.
about Mass Effect.
And
Also, I feel like it was somewhat grounded in
and
science.
and the
Mm-hmm.
and the other great thing is that the guy said that even though it's going to have Bethesda's DNA
Mm-hmm.
kind of cooked into it, they're going to be exploring brand new systems, brand new ways of playing. So it's cool because, we all know the greats from Bethesda,
Mm-hmm.
right? Skyrim and things of that nature
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. It's good that we have now a new original IP that's coming out from them, and it's not going to be based on any of those games. They're forging their own path,
Mm-hmm.
which is exciting. So
Something to look forward
see
to
what
for
happens.
sure. What about you, Eli?
Yeah.
You want to close out with some thoughts, some final thoughts, maybe on the
Yeah,
little stuff that we saw on Starfield?
yeah. I saw a little bit of a video explaining
Mm-hmm.
it, and it really does look like they're trying to, I guess, sort of redeem themselves after the the hell that was Fallout
Yeah, no
76.
The
kidding.
fallout from Fallout.
Yeah,
Yeah, the fallout of Fallout
no
76,
kidding.
right?
Poorly received. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it really looks like it's definitely it's basically a realistic No Man's Sky, which is very
Yeah,
exciting. And it's going, like you said, it's forging its own path, it's exploring new territory, and I absolutely love that.
yeah.
It's very realistic No Man's Sky. That's basically it.
I definitely wish that they made some of these games co-op experiences, though. That's a little salt in the wound for me because I would love to be able to explore an open world Bethesda style game with you guys, with the crew. But
You have your own space crew.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something that's
That'd be
fun about
awesome.
like No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous and games like that. So we're not going to get that here, but I think that there's still a great game underneath that we would all enjoy. We'll see how it turns out. Yeah.
Definitely.
All right.
Yep.
So I'm going to close not with another game, but I'm going to close with a little bit of information for y'all on what you can check out on E3 that we haven't even covered yet. This is going to be some stuff that's going to happen. So we'll give you the info here on what's coming out. So whatever we didn't cover, y'all can go check it out yourself. And of course, we'll have posts periodically to cover some of the more noteworthy things that come out at E3. You'll see that on our pages this week, I would imagine. So here's the schedule thus far. This morning, they had through the pre-show. We're already past that. The Xbox and Bethesda showcase is the next big thing that's coming up. I think that's coming up at around 1 o'clock or 1 o'clock Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific. So that's coming up actually as we record. I'll give you some real time. That's going to be about an hour and a half from when we're recording right now, right? So we got the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. Square Enix will present right after that at 12:15 Pacific. Then Warner Brothers Games Back for Blood at 2:30. The PC gaming show will take place at the same time, 2:30. The Future Games show will take place at the same time. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be, but that's the last thing we'll see today out of E3. And I'll give you a little bit of what's going on tomorrow. I'll leave the 15th open for y'all to see that because if you get into it, I'm sure you'll see that. But just a little quick going over what's going to happen tomorrow. There's a Verizon presentation at E3 at 9 a.m. Pacific. I don't know what that's going to be about. In television, Verizon, yeah, y'all are getting some ire right now. And in television presentation, I don't know what that's about at all because I didn't even know Intellivision existed anymore. So if y'all remember Intellivision, check out E3 Monday, June 14th at 9:45 a.m. Pacific. The Take-Two panel, obviously, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be looking forward to what Take-Two is going to come out with. That's Monday at 10:15 a.m. The Mythical Games presentation at 11:10 a.m. The Indie Showcase at noon. The Freedom Games presentation, that's another solid company, coming out at 12:30 Pacific time on Monday. Venn, not familiar with that either, guys, VENN, at 1 p.m. We're almost done with June 14th here. Capcom is going to present at 2:30 Pacific. So they're going to have their own presentation. And then finally, the gaming peripherals company, PC gaming peripherals company, Razer, is going to have a keynote speech Monday, June 14th at 3 p.m. There's a lot of other stuff coming out on June 15th. I'll leave it to y'all to see the rest of that, including Nintendo's part of the show, which I will mention, of course. And that's going to be a big thing that we're going to see on Tuesday, the final day, June 15th of E3. But that's about it. We covered as much as we could for you guys today. We had a lot of fun letting you know what we're looking forward to coming out of E3 and a little bit of coming out of Sony's State of Play with Gran Turismo 7 and, of course, Horizon Forbidden West, which we didn't talk about, but something that I'm looking forward to for sure. And that's about it. Y'all enjoy E3. We had a good time talking about it today. We got a lot of great games that we're looking forward to. Again, we'll post as much content as we can to give you all a little bit more perspective beyond what we said on today's episode. And I guess that's it. As usual, I definitely want to thank y'all for putting up with us while we record remotely. We've been doing that for a while. We think we've worked out all the kinks, but if you guys have any feedback on that, please let us know. Instagram, Twitter, at getgeekpodcast. You can slide into the DMs and let us know what's going on there. And of course, as noted before, the best way to support your favorite podcast is to like, rate, share, subscribe, and comment on our social media. Again, at Get Geek Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Leave a comment of 4 words or greater. That's how you game the Instagram algorithm. Instagram's probably going to cancel me for saying this. But, if you have a small business, if you're a musician, if you're an artist, if you're anybody that's really trying to make it in social media and show the world what you got, just like we are with this little podcast here, comment on our stuff. 4 words or more. We'll comment on yours. We'll raise all boats. Everybody will be a success, and that's what we're hoping for over here. So let's support each other. Let's build a little community where everybody has an awesome podcast and everybody makes some great music. Everybody makes some great art, including Eli. Eli makes some great art. Elijah draws art. Fantastic stuff there. But yeah, that's all there is left to say, guys. We really want to thank you for joining us on this episode. We had a lot of fun, the 3 of us. We talked for a long time about all the stuff we're looking forward to. And the last thing that I got to say to my crew here is, please, y'all, stay geeky, my friend.